I'd think twice if I were you.
We got him. Look what he's wearing. We're rich. No, don't touch that, you fool. Or better yet, let's leave this cursed bastard right where he is.
Sword Hero will be an open-world RPG with elements from various genres like survival games and Souls-likes. Some direct inspirations are Berserk, Gothic, Kenshi, Blade of Darkness, and Arx Fatalis. In this video, I'll be covering the combat of the game, as well as many of the known RPG features, including a bit about factions and their lore. This will include showing pre-alpha footage and some of my own recording taken in the game's demo. Credits for all the footage that isn't mine will be given in the description. In Sword Hero, the three combat types are melee, ranged with a bow, and magic. Melee combat features dodges, blocks, and parries, as well as directional swings. Directional swings can either be controlled by the movement direction of the mouse, or by the movement direction of the character when swinging. One thing I noticed about the swing direction is that if you move your mouse to the left, the sword will swing to the left instead of from the left, so it's different from the Mount and Blade games. Sword Hero lets you lock onto an enemy in melee, and you can scroll to change the targeted limb for your attacks. The controls are customizable to allow you to aim with your mouse cursor instead of targeting with the scroll wheel. You can also use special abilities using a resource called Psi. Psi is built by landing hits on enemies, which you can see the meter for in the bottom right corner. Damage dealt takes your character's momentum into account, so the faster you're moving or swinging, the more damage you'll do. Sprint attacks and jump attacks are also possible. I tried out magic in the demo, which lets you shoot bolts of lightning through your fists. It seems very effective, and it's also fun to use. Each attack with your spell consumes some psi, which can be restored by drinking a potion. Magic will be available from the beginning of the game in the form of limited use scrolls, and you'll have to learn permanent spells from a mage guild. The bow on the ranged fighter seems good for dealing heavy damage from a distance before engaging in melee. Given that the demo arena is such a small space, there wasn't much I could learn about it. It's important to note that these are pre-built early game builds in the demo that include the basics, but we're reminded that there will be numerous types of builds to experiment with in the full game. Oh yeah, and you can throw pretty much anything you can pick up in the game. Once you've lost a limb, you can take care of the wound and equip a rudimentary prosthetic if you have one. Otherwise, there will be more paths later on to replace limbs for characters of all alignments. I found this clip of the blade arm prosthetic that's just one of many that I'm sure they have planned, but prosthetics are going to be able to be used in combat. They're going to have various accoutrements, which I think is pretty cool. there's also parkour. Yeah, there's wall running, parkour, climbing. I think there's some prosthetic limbs you can get that help with climbing, or some other type of gear. But yeah, that's in the game too. One thing that's more combat related that I didn't mention in the combat section is that there's no level scaling. Enemies do not get stronger as you level up. What that basically means is that a random wolf that you encounter at low level does not turn into a bullet sponge at higher levels. Higher level enemies will be just insanely difficult when you're still weak, but eventually you'll be strong enough to fight them, maybe even stronger than them. You probably noticed the comet, the train we saw in the trailer. A tweet from the dev account says, anyone with the right kind of money on the island can use the comet line to travel safely, or jump on top of it, though that could anger its owners and protectors, the Steam Barons. I was curious about whether or not the train was actually a instant fast travel kind of mechanic, or if it was a train that you actually have to wait for and then ride to the destination. I asked the dev, and he said in the beginning of the game, the comet will be pretty much broken. You'll be forced to walk around the island in the first chapter, and then you'll be able to physically ride it after it gets fixed, and you can get off the train anywhere you want. And then he says later in the game, instant fast travel will become available. And he mentions the island itself won't be huge, so even walking won't take too much time in most situations. As we've seen before in other games like Kenshi, the amount of strength your character has will actually affect your character's appearance. So stronger characters will gain muscle, and there's also going to be things like magical tattoos, and the eyes you see here are glowing arcane eyes, which happen when you get stronger at magic. To me, this reminds me a lot of Fable. Fable had the glowing tattoos when you used magic, or if you were extremely good or extremely evil in that game, you would have appearance changes that reflected your choices. There is, of course, a lockpicking and stealth in the game. The lockpicking is very unique. It's different from something like a Bethesda game. To summarize it, you basically rake the lock, and then the pins will fall down in a certain order, and you have to raise them up in the reverse order that they fall down. Or it's either in the order that they fall down or the reverse order. I'll let you watch that video and figure it out because I can't remember. There will be banks in the game. You can store your gold in there, and they will earn interest over time, although the interest will be tied to your story progression so that you don't get too rich early on, I guess. And there will be bank robberies, which is going to be in the form of a mission that you can take a stealth approach to, or just sort of go in swinging. He says it's similar to how Deus Ex handled it. I'm not familiar, but if you know, you know, I guess. Alright, so without spending too much time on lore, there's a significant amount of lore regarding this faction. This is the Kingdom of Wes. They are the most powerful and dominant faction. They have a 3-headed dragon at their disposal, but one of the dragon heads was not friendly, so they encased it in iron, and now it is a 2-headed dragon. Yeah. They are the big bosses of the land. Next we have Neo-Westlandia, referred to as heretics and necromancers by Westlandia. They are at war with the Kingdom of Wes. A quote from the Twitter, Neo-Westlandia will essentially be the opposite of the Pelt Folk, which is the next faction we'll be covering. They are a society fully revolving around the powerful machines brought up from the deep, piece by piece, losing themselves in the process, not taking their eyes off their goal for even a moment. So yeah, they're like they remind me of some very fanatical dwarves from a couple different fantasy universes who just keep going deeper and deeper into the earth to find something of value. That's basically the vibe I get from them, and they seem pretty freaking cool. And the final of the three is the Pelt Folk. The Pelt Folk will be a relatively reclusive faction, mostly confined to their mountain city of Fortitude. They required they required space for unhindered aura farming. That's a quote from the dev. So, three factions. You can join any of them. You get special gear, perks, and their take on the story of the world. Or I think you can choose to not join a faction and just sort of go solo.